Welcome everyone to my mock draft version 1.0. We are going to be going through all 32 first round picks. I will not be doing any trades in this mock draft, just where the draft pick is. We're going to pick a player, and that is how this mock draft is going to go. If you guys are new around here, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the Tennessee Titans. I think they will go quarterback Cameron Ward out of Miami. It feels not the consensus number one like Caleb was last year, or kind of how Bryce Young felt in 2022. But it feels very likely that Cameron Ward will go number one here. Otherwise, the Titans might take Abdul Carter. But that's kind of the only two directions I see. But I think Cameron Ward is way more likely. At number two, the Cleveland Browns. I have them taking Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people have the Browns taking Abdul Carter. I actually think the Browns go quarterback. We saw Myles Garrett after his contract extension this offseason. He was talking about he likes the quarterback plan for the New York Giants. And so I do think that will be Shedeur Sanders. I think the Browns will take a shot on him. A little bit risky, but I could see it happening. The Giants at 3, they will grab Travis Hunter, the do-it-all cornerback and receiver from Colorado. I think the Giants will have him play as a receiver more than a cornerback to help out Malik Nabers. I could also see him being a starting cornerback there for the Giants. Either way, it makes sense. I don't think they'll go Abdul Carter because they already have a very good D-line. They have Brian Burns. They have Dexter Lawrence. So Abdul Carter wouldn't make a ton of sense. But at the 4th pick, this is where Abdul Carter will go to the New England Patriots. It sounds like I'm a Patriots fan having Carter fall to 4. I'm not. This is just where I see him going. He's trying to tank his value. I don't think that will work. I know he wants to go to Philadelphia. I still think he'll be a top 5 pick, like 100%. But I see the Patriots being a good fit. They signed Stephon Diggs as like their number 1 receiver. So I don't know if they'll go receiver with the 4th pick. I like Abdul Carter for the Patriots. Helps out the defense. Gives them another threat on the edge. And makes the Patriots like a around 500 team heading into the next season. I could see. The Jaguars at 5. Another simple pick. They will take Mason Graham from Michigan. This is a pretty chalk pick. It feels like a lot of mock drafts have Mason Graham going to the Jaguars, and I see it. I think it fits the mold for what Jacksonville needs. They need help on their defense. They need a lot of things, but defense is their most important spot right now, especially that shaky D-line besides Josh Hines-Allen. And so getting Mason Graham will fill up the trenches. It will make that D-line so much better. And I think it's the right pick for Jacksonville to get Mason Graham at 5. The Raiders at 6. I've seen some rumors about, will Ashton Jeanty go there? I've seen some of that. But I actually have them taking Will Campbell. Now, I'm not fully familiar with the Raiders O-line. I don't think they're horrible as a unit, but Will Campbell will definitely help them improve. He can go to tackle. He can go to guard if he has to. He can really be that do-it-all kind of lineman for the Raiders. I don't think they'll take Jeanty because that wouldn't really make the most sense to take a running back for a team that has a lot of holes on their roster. So I see Will Campbell going to the Raiders, and I think that's a good pick for them. The New York Jets at 7, they are also going O-line. They're going to take Armin Membu from Missouri, the second best lineman in this class. I have it as Will Campbell, then Armin Membu, then Calvin Banks Jr. Those are like my top 3 guys in this draft class. So the Jets get Armin Membu. Very, very good tackle for Missouri. I think he's going to be pretty solid in the NFL. And the Jets need O-line, because some of their O-linemen are old, like close to 40. It's kind of scary. Justin Fields will not be able to stay upright if he's getting attacked every play. So Armin Membu should help out a little bit. The Carolina Panthers at 8, I could see a few directions. I could see them going for defense. I could see them maybe grabbing Will Johnson, cornerback. But after paying J.C. Horn, that wouldn't make a ton of sense anymore. So I'm going to actually take Terrier McMillan from Arizona. The first true receiver off the board goes to Carolina. Look, the Panthers just need weapons flat out. Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette, that's not going to get the job done for Bryce Young. I thought about Tyler Warren in the spot, but I think getting a true wide receiver like McMillan, stud at Arizona, I think he's going to become Bryce Young's favorite target right away. And this will make him, Bryce Young I'm talking about, this will help him improve even more after the second half of last year. So I like this pick a lot for Carolina. And if McMillan somehow goes in the top 7, Carolina should trade down and get a receiver later on. The New Orleans Saints at 9. Couple different directions they could go here. This is one of the more awkward teams for me to pick. I like their secondary a lot, so I'm not going to take Will Johnson here. But I do feel like the New Orleans Saints could use some pop on the edge. I'm going to take Shamir Stewart from Texas A&M, one of the top edge rushers in the draft class, goes to New Orleans. Because Cameron Jordan, he's not getting any younger. They need help on that D-line. And the Saints have a lot of holes. They're very old. They are not doing well with the cap. It's just not going great in New Orleans right now. But I think Shamir Stewart should at least help them out a bit on their defensive line. The Bears at 10. This is where Ashton Jeanty will go. We know Ben Johnson likes his do-it-all running backs. And people doubted the Lions when they took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 a few years ago. Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the top running backs in the league. I think a lot of people will criticize Ashton Jeanty if he goes in the top 10. They will criticize the draft pick. But I think it's going to work out kind of how it did with the Lions. The Bears just need a power runner to complement Ashton Jeanty. Because Jeanty, he can break his tackles. He can do his thing. He's not the biggest running back by any means. And so they might trade Swift on day 2, day 3. Get a bigger running back instead to complement Jeanty better. That's what I would do. I like this pick for the Bears. The 49ers at 11. This is where I have Will Johnson going. 49ers, they lost a lot of their secondary in free agency. I mean, we're talking about Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, and there's more too. I'm just forgetting right now. Those two very notable players, though, did leave in free agency. So we need to refill the secondary. Niners lost a lot of pieces. We're not going to say they didn't, but we've got to go to the place that they lost the most pieces, which is the secondary. Will Johnson, best player in this draft class for corner, and he should make this 49ers defense a bit better to help heal from the losses this offseason. At 12, the Dallas Cowboys, they can also go in a few different directions. They might take a receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb. I don't have them going edge because they already have Micah, and I feel like they're going to re-sign Micah. So I actually have Dallas taking Malachi Starks from Georgia, the safety. I like Trayvon Diggs. I like DaRon Bland. They're both very solid players. But I think that safety room can use some help. So getting a great safety from Georgia like Malachi Starks will really improve that Dallas secondary, make it an elite unit. A lockdown unit, I should say. Miami at 13, there was rumors about them, losing Tyreek Hill, and they could use some O-line help as well. But I'm going to go with an edge rusher instead. I will take Michael Williams. Between Michael Williams and Jalen Walker, they're about the same. I mean, there's some things that Jalen does better than Michael. Some things Michael does better than Jalen. I think for the Dolphins, they want someone to get to the quarterback. I will pick Michael Williams for that scenario. I think that just makes a little bit more sense. But they're like 1A, 1B. You can't go wrong either way. The Colts at 14. Now, the Colts are kind of in a weird spot. They have a Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson quarterback battle this year, which should be interesting. But whoever wins that quarterback battle needs a good, reliable target to throw to. I think you know where I'm going to go here. Give me Tyler Warren from Penn State. If it's Anthony Richardson, if it is Daniel Jones, either player, they need a reliable, consistent tight end that they could check it down to, get some easy yards after catch. And that's what Tyler Warren's going to get you. Not only does he give you the receiving upside, he gives you the blocking. He's a big body, 6'6", like 250 pounds, I believe. He might even weigh more. He's just the perfect tight end for a team like the Colts that, besides Michael Pittman, does not really have any options. Atlanta at 15, they've gone offense the past couple of years in these drafts, whether it be Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They like taking their offensive players, and I cannot fully blame them. But this year we need defense, especially after losing Grady Jarrett, probably losing Matthew Judon as well. We're going to take Jalen Walker from Georgia. I think this is about the range where it goes. Anywhere from like 10 to 20 is the Jalen Walker, Michael Williams range. I think he gets selected by Atlanta. Like I said, Atlanta needs some D-line help, like badly. And Jalen Walker is the best guy left on the board. The Cardinals at 16, they already made some big signings in the offseason to help their D-line. They got Josh Sweat on a 4-year, $76 million deal, which is a great start, don't get me wrong, but we can't stop there. I'm actually going to have the Cardinals take James Pierce from Tennessee. He's a boomer bust prospect, in my opinion. The off-the-field issues, a little bit scary, but I look at a guy like Jalen Carter. He had off-the-field issues heading into the draft. Look at where he turned out. I feel like the stuff that James Pierce Jr. has committed, it's nothing that is unreversible. He could very easily turn around, and I think that's what he'll do. He could become a very, very solid NFL player. The Bengals at 17, it's defense. I mean, we don't have to joke around about it. I could already just click the defensive tab. I mean, do we go D-line? Do we go secondary? I think we need to go secondary. Out of the guys here, I think I'd like Nick Emenworry. Sorry if I botched that. I think he's just the guy we need to take. For the sake of the Cincinnati Bengals, they need defensive help. Nick Emenworry should be a good gap player. He can come in, might be able to work his magic. I don't know. It's tough with the Bengals defense. You could really go any of the 3 levels. I'm just taking the top prospect, and that's kind of what the Bengals should do. Seattle at 18. Seattle, they signed Cooper Kupp. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think they're going to go O-line. Calvin Banks has slipped a little bit in my mock draft 1.0, but this is where he will get taken by the Seahawks. I think this is a good move for them to get a really, really good lineman that just kind of fell due to the other teams having higher needs. But Calvin Banks, I think he's going to be really, really solid in the NFL. If he could just come in right away and play even average, that's better than what the Seahawks have on their line. 19, the Tampa Bay Bucks. They re-signed Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans, so I don't think they'll go receiver. I like Cade Otton as a tight end, so I don't think they'll go Colston Loveland. They have Vita Vea on their D line, so I don't think they'll go Derek Harmon. I wouldn't mind seeing Jahad Campbell from Alabama on this Tampa Bay defense. I mean, we know Todd Bowles, great defensive mind. I think with a talent like Jahad Campbell, he can really work like wonders with him. That would be a great pairing, Jahad Campbell and Todd Bowles. And Levante David is also not getting any younger. I think he's like almost mid-30s now. So Tampa Bay needs a little bit of a refresher at the linebacker room. You could go corner too if you're Tampa, but I like Jihad Campbell as the prospect. Denver at 20. I think this team has a lot of pieces in place. They're young, they're fun. They signed some good defensive players in free agency. We got to go offensive side of the ball. Give me Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State over Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden's ranked higher, but I'm higher on Emeka Egbuka. Matthew Golden, he should get drafted in the first round. We'll see where he goes in this mock draft. But Emeka Egbuka, I think he's really just got some good talent on him. And he's an Ohio State receiver. They usually don't fail. So that's where the Broncos will go. The Steelers at 20. They have DK Metcalf. I think they're keeping George Pickens, so we don't need a receiver. Freiermuth is a very solid tight end, so we don't need tight end. But one thing I did see with the Steelers, I wasn't the biggest fan of their O-line. I felt like they were starting to get blown up late in the year. We could either go Josh Simmons. We might take a guy, let's see. There's some good linemen left here, but Tyler Booker from Alabama will be the pick. The best interior offensive lineman, I think, in this draft class. And he will be the pick for the Steelers. I actually really do like Gray Zeeble, too. I just couldn't find him scrolling down. The Chargers at 22. Another one of those teams, like, a piece or two away on the offensive side of the ball. And a piece or two away on the defensive side of the ball. And they're right there as a Super Bowl contender. We're going to start this off, though, with Matthew Golden. Get Justin Herbert another weapon. Because besides Ladd McConkey and they re-got Mike Williams, there's nothing there. So get a guy like Matthew Golden who can hopefully help out that receiving room. At 23, the Green Bay Packers. I feel like I always see the Packers in like this early, mid, kind of 20s range of a year. Always like making the playoffs, not doing too much in there. But anyway. The Packers, they need a receiver. A number one receiver. I don't know if you have that right now on the board. There isn't the greatest amount of receiving prospects this draft class. But you still have Luther Burden III from Missouri, who is going to go to Green Bay. I mean, you can't complain about it, right? You get another very, very solid receiver. I don't know if he's fully a wide receiver 1. In my opinion, he's like a wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. But, I mean, getting any type of weapon is important for the Packers. Minnesota Vikings at 24. I do have some questions if TJ Hawkinson can stay healthy. I'm going to assume he does. We don't take Colston Loveland. But I would actually like to see the Vikings get Derek Harmon from Oregon, the D tackle. I haven't really done a lot of interior defensive line yet in this draft class. Derek Harmon, guy from Oregon, he should be able to just go in there, be a beast, be a wrecking ball, and help Minnesota stop the run. Brian Flores in his blitzing, they can get to the quarterback. Stopping the run, I see as a little bit more of an important need for the Vikings. So getting a guy like Derek Harmon will help that a ton. Texans at 25. Out of the teams left in the first round, the Texans are the most wishy-washy. Like, I think out of all these teams besides Houston, they all are, like, no doubt Super Bowl guaranteed, like, playoff contender type team. The Texans, although they made it to the divisional round, people are, like, not that high on them. So they need to make a good move. We know they traded Laramie Tunsil for some draft capital. They need to get their Laramie Tunsil replacement. That's Josh Simmons from Ohio State. The best lineman left on the draft board will go to the Houston Texans. Hopefully at least helping that line a little bit. The Los Angeles Rams at 26 could go a few ways here. I do like Tyler Higbee enough for him to be that tight end 1 instead of Colston Loveland. They could go corner, could go edge, and you know what I'm going to do? We're going to have them take Jahad Barron, from Texas. I think that's the right pick. Some of these prospects in like the late first round, I'm mainly basing it off of position. What each team needs. There might be guys like ranked similar that might be a little bit better, but we're going off the position. I know the Ravens could use some interior O-line work, could use some help at corner. I think the Ravens should go edge rusher. I think they should get another edge rusher, because although they have some solid guys, they don't have like a beast. Matabuke is interior D-line, so I'm not going to fully count that. I'll take Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. I think he can really improve their D-line, make it into an even better unit. Ravens are one of those teams that, like, it's never been a roster issue. It's just kind of been like a can't get over the hump. So just continue to beef up the roster, make it even better. The Lions at 28. You lost your coordinators in the offseason. You didn't really lose any pieces, though, on your team. So you're doing pretty solid. You need defense, though. Your offense is probably the best in the league. Your defense could use some help. Now, do we go a guy like Talik Williams? Do we go a guy like Walter Nolan? These are both D tackles. And I think you do go one of the D tackles. I like Ohio State players. I think getting players from those big-time schools, besides quarterback, I mean, I guess it could apply to quarterback too, but especially like receivers, D linemen, I'm always going to prefer like the bigger name school 90% of the time, just because, usually there's more development there, sometimes better coaches there. So I have Tyleek Williams going to the Detroit Lions. The Commanders at 29 made the NFC Championship game last year. Need some help on their defense, because their offense we know can be fantastic. I actually am going to see Walter Nolan, because they did release Jonathan Allen. I think, yeah, they released Jonathan Allen. I kind of just went through like a little cloud fog for a sec. But Walter Nolan can be that Jonathan Allen replacement. Go back even further, can be like, some help on the D-line after losing Montez Sweat and Chase Young a few years ago to the trade deadline. I think having Walter Nolan will make that D-line a lot better and make that defense a lot better. So we have the Bills, we have the Chiefs, and we have the Eagles. Now the Buffalo Bills, few ways they could go. The team needs, it says cornerback, D tackle, linebacker, edge, receiver. I think out of all of those, the most important needs for them are the cornerback and the receiver. Now, I saw Josh Allen get it done all of last year, win the MVP, without having elite receivers. So I think having weapons is great, but if you have other team needs, you should go there first. So that's why I'm going to take Shavon Revel from East Carolina. Just the best quarterback prospect remaining. Okay, we have the Chiefs, D tackle, guard, edge. So basically their whole O-line. The Chiefs, like a late round team that needs some O-line. This is Gray Zabel territory. We're going to send Gray Zabel to the Chiefs at 31. And finally, the Eagles at 32. You could go a few ways here. You want to go Kenneth Grant, you can. You want to go Donovan Jackson, you can. But I could just see Philly definitely getting a steal in the late first round with a guy like Xavier Watts and just become a beast team. So let's take a look at the full draft. Here it is. Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Let me know in the comments what you would change, what you feel good on, what you're not so good on. I'm excited for the NFL draft. I plan on doing maybe one more mock before we actually have the draft. Change some things that I don't really like about this. I'm very confident about like the top 16. I like the first half a lot. The second half of the draft, not as great about. But let me know what you guys think. If you are new, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.